Hello and welcome to Hardie Party of 5.5.
Welcome.
How's it going, Rebecca Hardie?
It's going good.
Okay, I have kind of a deep question to start the conversation off today.
I'm ready.
Have you ever had a near-death experience?
I don't really think so. I mean,
No?
I've had some probably scary experiences or
Yeah.
something, maybe like a car accident or something like that, but never where I was worried about death.
Okay. Well, our guest today has faced like several of these things, like over and over in his lifetime.
Yes.
It's Jason Grimsley. He was a major league pitcher for 15 years, most notably for the Yankees. He was with Cleveland. So he pitched for a long time, but his life story is totally amazing.
After this podcast, you're going to know that he was actually best known for having more than 9 lives.
That's right. For sure. He shares some amazing stories with him. Some of them are very funny, and then some are very, very touching.
Yeah.
About grace and love and healing.
Yeah.
So it was just cool to be able to talk to him tonight.
Yeah, it was great. You're going to be blown away by this guy's story. You're not even going to believe that this can happen to one person, all of these things, but you will believe it. And it is an amazing story.
Yeah. And he has a book out that's called Cross Stitched.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell us about just how the whole book came together and all the stories that are in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are going to love this interview with Jason Grimsley. The first thing I want to know, because I'm a mom, is your mom's favorite phrase was, "What were you thinking?" I'm sure I've said that to my 1,000 kids 1,000 times. How did that sum up your childhood?
Oh, that was a daily occurrence. You know, Mom always says I would be in the middle of the air thinking, all right, this is going to hurt when I land. And my little brother's back there sitting, watching me going, no, I'm not going to do that. It might hurt.
So he was learning from you then.
Oh, he didn't learn from me. He was always extremely cautious, still is extremely cautious.
Okay. Just his personality.
And I'm a ready, fire, aim type of person.
So she said that to you a lot?
Oh yeah, both of times.
So how did you lose your big toe?
Oh, that was caused by a stump and a motorcycle.
Oh.
Had a stump doing about 40. The stump was about that high and the grass was about that high, and I never saw it. I was turning one way.
Wow.
It hit the gear shift, and the gear shift wrapped around toward the bottom of my foot off, and the stump itself ripped between my big toe and the toe next to it. It ripped me up to my ankle, and it tore the bottom part of my toe off.
Oh my goodness.
That tendon.
How old were you?
I was 12.
I was a little younger than that, and I was riding, I don't know if you know this, I was riding a motorcycle through a pasture. Same thing. There was a concrete, I don't even know what it was, in the pasture, and the weeds were higher than it. See, gets you every time. And I flipped over the handlebars. I didn't lose a toe.
Did? I didn't know
Yeah,
this.
I didn't lose a toe. I busted my face up, but I didn't lose a toe.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I've dodged so many bullets, figuratively and literally. There's definitely a reason I'm still here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What are some other things like in your childhood? You mentioned a lot of things in the book, like times that you thought, man, I shouldn't have made it through that. Are there a couple things you can remember?
Yeah, when I was 5, I was on Dad's roping horse in the feeding pen, and he got spooked, and it was wet, and he slipped and completely rolled over on me with a saddle on.
My God.
And nothing happened to me. Shoot, how many of them? I got a life jacket stuck around my feet because I thought it'd be funny to try to stand on it in the middle of the pool by myself, and got stuck upside down. Funny thing is, in all these instances, I never panicked. I just, all right, so I'm underwater. I can get back up and get a breath, and I got to swim to the side. That's all that went through my head.
This is things that like Green Berets do. You know that, right?
But I think they do it on purpose. I guess
Yeah.
you did it on purpose too.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
all accident. Yeah, no, I was I had my bicycle slide under a car, and I threw my feet up and pushed myself off the car as the car was going down the road about 30 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness.
At the ripe old age of about 7. Shoot, what else? My dad shot me in Louisiana. My brother shot me in Mexico hunting.
Okay, where did they shoot you?
My brother shot me in the back of the head at about 30 yards. You know, and in the movie, all that energy's got to stop. It knocked me straight down. We had to take the tweezers and dig pellets out of the back of my head.
Oh my gosh.
My dad actually, I still don't know how he missed me, but he was a little bit closer than that. And I had Carhartt coveralls on. It was real cold, and it tore the entire back of my coveralls off. It only had a couple pellets in me. I dodged that bullet. And then my wife saw me get run over on my street bike. Not a scratch. We had a plane crash into our house, and my truck made a funny noise taking the boys to school, and called my friend at the Chevrolet place and told him I'd like to run it by. He said, "Bring it by real quick." Well, it's 10 minutes to school and about 10 minutes to the dealership. And right when I pulled in the dealership, my wife called in the calm voice and said, "Jason, plane crashed in the house. You need to get home." And I broke every law known to man getting back in the house, drove around roadblocks, drove up in my front yard, and was going in the house. And the police officer told me to stop. And I said, "They're going to shoot me." Went in the house, and the keeping room and the kitchen, the back walls were gone. The glass was all gone. The sliding doors were gone. And I looked down on the couch that me and my daughter always sit on every time my wife's downstairs working out with her trainer. It was just obliterated. And I ran out the back patio I didn't know where my wife and my daughter were.
Yeah.
And I was about 15 feet from where the plane hit. And I saw stuff and I'd love to unsee.
Wow.
And you'll never forget that. I won't ever forget the sight, and I won't ever forget the smell.
Yeah, I bet not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, Jason, I'm glad you're with us.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then in the book, the botched suicide attempt,
Yeah, but you mentioned in the book that's your darkest, the very bad day is what you called it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, if anybody wants to know what hell looks like, I can describe it for you.
Wow. Okay, so I have a practical question. Does your homeowner's insurance cover a plane hitting it?
Actually, ours didn't.
Wow.
The pilots, their insurance, they have
Their insurance covered it. Oh my goodness.
That's
That
crazy.
is.
There were 5 people on the plane lost their lives. It was a horrible day.
Oh my gosh.
That is.
But if it hadn't been, funny thing is, the noise my truck made, it never made it again.
Yeah, it was keeping you from being in the house.
Going home,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Whew.
You know, they say hindsight's 20/20. I look back on my life now, and there's so many times, you know, I missed a telephone pole on a motorcycle doing 100. Went through the ditch, came out of the ditch, got back on the road, kept going. My buddy that was behind me on his, he stopped, threw up, and was shaking. And he said, "You're supposed to be dead. You're supposed to be dead."
Wow.
And I just didn't think about it. I missed it. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Oh my word. So you ended up pitching 15 years in the major leagues. I'm going to forgive you that you were with the Yankees for a minute. And you won 2 World Series with the Yankees.
No, you're not a Boston fan, are you?
No, we're Ranger fans. So
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
yeah.
But we won't talk about Nelson Cruz.
Oh gosh. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Why do you bring that up again?
So sorry.
Talk about a very bad day for me. Oh gosh. So you ended up being in the major leagues for 15 years, but when you were a kid, what was your original dream that you always wanted to do?
I actually wanted to be in the military.
Hmm.
My dad was a aircraft mechanic on the USS Midway. My grandfather was a Marine. All my grandmother's uncles were Marines. My great uncle was a naval aviator. And I actually got an academic scholarship to the Air Force Academy and failed the physical because of my foot.
Oh, yeah.
So I had about a month of school left. Didn't know what I was going to do. And my high school coach took me to a tryout camp. And about 8 days after that tryout camp, I was drafted. 6 days after that, I was in Bend, Oregon. And 3 years later, I was in the big leagues.
Because in high school, your last couple of years, you didn't pitch much because of injuries, right?
I know, I broke my right wrist in off-season football after pitching one game. And then a basketball game, I got cut and broke my left wrist and hurt my right shoulder.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. So
so the lady at the emergency room in the real small town of Cleveland, Texas, I had to have been 10, 11 years old. And mom looked at her. She brought me in probably for the 5th time that summer. Said, Judy, if I didn't know you, I'd turn you into CPS.
Like, what are you doing to this
kid?
kid?
It was stitches, broken bones, you name it.
Oh my word.
That is crazy. So you're a fierce competitor, even competing against yourself. We have a family motto you might like, which is, when you're winning, it's about winning, and when you're losing, it's about ministry.
Show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser.
Yeah.
That's
right. That's right. So we have 3 boys, so lots of competition always at our house, but it seems to run in your blood. What, in your book, you talk about the difference between failing and losing. What do you say is the difference?
Oh, failing is that happens on a daily basis. Failing is how you learn. It's how you make adjustments. It's how you correct things. Losing is when you don't give it your best effort, when you half step it, when you quit, when you just give up on yourself, give up on teammates, give up on your family, whatever it is. That's losing.
So losing's more long-term. You're just done.
Oh, losing's a mindset. It's somewhere in there, somebody has kicked a person enough to where they don't feel like they deserve to win, or they don't feel like they deserve to be happy or deserve success.
Yeah.
Those are good words.
And failing is what a good coach, a good parent, a good mentor encourages you to do.
Yeah. Right.
That's where you learn.
Gives you tasks they know you're going to fail at.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty healthy to fail and then pick yourself back up. Like, that's a good lesson to learn. A lot of parents these days, we don't let our kids fail enough.
Yeah, well, that's all success is, getting up one more time, you get knocked down.
That's right.
Okay, there was a moment in the book where I'm like, did he just say that? And you're talking about on your first date with your wife that you were proud that you slept with her. So explain what you mean by that.
Well, this is back in the days when I drank a little bit, and we'd gone out and we'd met up with some of her friends, and we went back to a place that her friends were renting on the beach, and I drank a little more, and it wouldn't have been a good idea for me to drive. So she suggested that I spend the night. So I actually slept in her room, in her bed, and she still had her skirt, her stockings, her shirt, and her jacket on, probably her shoes as well. And I slept back there in my jeans and my shirt and my shoes. So tell everybody, yeah, we're married, but first date we went on and slept with him.
That's hilarious.
So what does your bride Dana mean to you?
Oh, she's the world.
Yeah.
She's the only reason I'm still here.
Really?
I was 23 years old when I met her. And the day before I met her, if you'd have told me I was going to get married, I'd have laughed at you. Because I had a Rolodex, so to speak. Not something I'm extremely proud of. But yeah, I wasn't not even close to being in the mindset of settling down and getting married.
Yeah.
But the second I met her, I knew. I tried to sabotage her right off the get-go.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I didn't call her.
Oh, really?
Nope. But her cousin came into town, and they actually came to a spring training facility and found my truck and left a note on my truck to call So I called her and went out with her, and then we were married 11 months later.
Wow. How long have you been married?
30 years.
30
Oh,
years.
yeah.
We are too.
We're
For 30
We're
years.
30 years too.
31 in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
awesome.
Congratulations. So what year did you get married in?
1992.
Oh my gosh, we're the exact same.
We got married in August.
We got married in August
yeah,
of 92 on a softball field.
we did.
And now, yeah, well, we're just behind you.
That's awesome. Okay, so you have some funny stories in the book. And the one I want to talk about is Batgate. Because in this story, you had a chance to do your own Mission Impossible. So tell us what happened with, explain, because a lot of people that aren't into baseball, like I'm kind of a baseball historian kind of guy, don't realize what Batgate was. So explain what that was and and how you were involved in this.
Well, we were in Chicago. I was with the Indians, and first inning comes up. You know, top of the first, Albert goes up to hit, Albert Bell, and their manager Gene Lamont went and talked to the umpire. And they started talking and asked Albert to come over to him, and umpire took the bat, looked at it, scratching on it, whatever, and called one of the clubhouse attendants over, and they confiscated the bat. And I'm sitting in the dugout. I don't have any idea what's going on. I'm sitting next to Buddy Bell, and I look down the bench, and Mike Hargrove, our manager, has got his head in his hands, you know, just leaning over. And I tapped Buddy. I said, "Buddy, what's wrong with Grover?" And he goes, "We're done." I go, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, that bat's corked." I said, "Jason, every bat he has is corked. His BP bats are corked." And I was sitting there, and I looked at Buddy, and tape played in my mind of me walking in with umpires that day. I usually get there about 2:00. And just so happened the umpires got there the same time I did. So I'm walking in with them, talking, and stopped right by their dressing room and continued on to ours. Well, I just remembered that their dressing room was on our side of the tunnel behind old plate at Comiskey. So I just looked over at Buddy and said, "Buddy, I think I can get that bat." He said, "What?" I said, I think I can go get that bat." So he went down and talked to Grover, and Grover looked down at me and went, "Go get it." So went to the clubhouse. I think his name was Gabe Kaplan, was a clubhouse attendant. Great guy. I walked up to Gabe. I said, "Gabe, I need a flashlight." And you can't ever tell anybody he gave me a flashlight. He said, "No problem, Grims." So I got me a flashlight. I went to the manager's office, shut the door, took off my uniform, put on a t-shirt, got some batting gloves, got an old Paul Sorrento bat, beat it up a little bit, and I proceeded to climb on 12-inch cinder block walls all the way to the umpire's room. And it was probably about a 50-yard trek, something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood. And a little further than that straight line. I'm going over walls, coming back, and I get to where I think the umpire's room is, and I lift one of the ceiling tiles up in the false ceiling, and I look down, and all I see is a guy sitting on a couch looking at me like this. It was a grounds crew room. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and all I did was put my finger to my lips, and he went, "Dude never said anything to anybody." So,
you don't see that every day.
So I made my way to the umpire's room, lift the ceiling towel up, crawled down the room on top of the refrigerator, got on the cabinet, swapped the bats out, came back, wiped it off as good as I could, got back up in the seat and put the towel back down. And as soon as I got up there, the clubhouse attendant walked in. And I don't know what he was doing, but he was in there about 5 minutes. Now, I don't know if you've experienced adrenaline on a grand scale, but it was, I could literally feel my chest and my neck and my throat. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. And I'm breathing through my mouth real quiet because I don't want you to hear me. And he leaves, and I'm gonna make my way back, give him the bat, and they took all Albert's bats out. And, next day, I'm standing in the outfield, and Mike LaValliere was a catcher with the White Sox. The nickname was Spanky. because he looked like Spanky from the Little Rascals.
Yep.
Great guy, though, hilarious. Very quiet, but just one of the funniest human beings on the planet. Well, he starts on their side of the field and never looks at me and takes one step sideways all the way to me, never looking at me. Gets right next to me, still hadn't looked at me. He goes, "Hey, Gramps, I heard you had a Mission Impossible last night." Dude, that's awesome. And then sidestepped all the way back to their side.
In case somebody was bugged or something. Yeah. That is awesome. These are things that only happen in like baseball to me. This is like a quintessential baseball story. That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
The funny thing is, so obviously Reinsdorf, the owner of the White Sox, he was not a happy man. He was screaming on TV that night. They're bringing the FBI. They're gonna take fingerprints. Whoever did it's going to jail. Well, they didn't have fingerprints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you had your batting
gloves on.
Yeah.
But so
you're like Tom Cruise crawling through there.
Mm-hmm.
a couple. I don't say that.
It's probably
he's tiny.
He's
Yeah.
probably a little bigger than Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But so a couple of days go by, and all of a sudden, I get a call from the commissioner's office, and I got to go see Bud Selig because my GM, John Hart, squealed on me. And so I met the union lawyers, Donald Fear, Michael Wayner, and we met in, I think it's Park Avenue in New York. And we go in the offices, and Don looks at me and goes, "Jason, they're probably going to fine you. They're probably going to suspend you." I said, "But just don't worry about it. We're going to appeal it. But we're going to take care of it." I said, "All right." So we go into Bud's office, and Bud walks in, and he sits down at his desk, and he leans up on his desk, and he looks at me and goes, "Rams, I'm not going to fine you. I'm not going to suspend you. Just tell me the story." I tell you, he starts laughing, and we get done. He said, "That's dang, son, you one hell of a teammate." And he said, "All right, just do me a favor, just not tell anybody." I said, "You got it."
Yeah.
That was 94. So 99, I'm in spring training with the Yankees. Buster Onley comes to me. He was a writer with the Yankees at the time. And Buster says, "Hey, Jason, I need to get a message to somebody." I said, "All right, what do you need, Buster?" He said, "Somebody told me that you might know the person that took Albert's bat out of the umpire's room." I said, "Yeah, I know him." He said, "Well, could you get a message to him?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "If I get permission from Bud Selig, do you think he'd tell a story?" I said, "I don't know, Buster, but I'll ask him."
It's like you're Peter Parker and you're talking to Spider-Man or something.
Right. So a couple days later, he comes back and he says, "All right, Bud said I could tell a story. We could tell a story." So told Buster a story. I said, "All right, there's only one thing I want, and I won't tell you the story unless you agree to it. Is you can't print it now. You got to wait till the season starts." That was the only thing to distract from spring training and me trying to make this team. And sure enough, opening day, New York, right there on every paper in New York City, Backgate solved. So,
Backgate solved.
told the story.
Oh gosh.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
awesome.
That is hilarious. So you would have a career in maybe
espionage.
Yes,
Yeah.
espionage.
I don't know about that. I don't know, like I told you, I was a ready, shoot, aim kind of guy.
Yeah.
Get that bat. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
Yeah, I gotta get that bat.
I don't know, but that's
Oh
what
my gosh. Okay, so tell us about your very good day, April 25th, 1999.
Oh yeah. So that spring training, same spring training, and Backgate came out. I told the story to Buster. My wife's been a Christian for our entire marriage, and probably before that. I know before that, just a great lady, and she'd make me go to church with her. I would, if I had a way to weasel out of it, I'd do it, because when I tell you I felt like the biggest hypocrite that's ever walked in the building, I felt like the biggest hypocrite that ever walked in the building when I went to a church. And we went to see the Easter production at a big church in Tampa during spring training with the Yankees. And I'd seen it before. And we're sitting there and they're going through it, and all of a sudden, the Holy Spirit just hit me, and he said, "All right, we're gonna start our walk now."
Mm.
And when it was done, I was sitting through it crying. My wife kept saying, "You okay?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm good." And so the next day, I went to in spring training. George McGovern's the chaplain there, and he's there pretty much every day. And I walked up to George McGovern and started talking to him, and he invited me to Bible study that they did pretty much on a daily basis, and then chapel on Sundays. And had some great teammates: Andy Pettit, Scott Brocious, Bernie Williams, Mariano Rivera, all strong Christians, good men, and helped mentor me and made the team out of spring training. Told George I wanted him to baptize me, so he baptized me in Lake Armonk on April 25th, 1999. You know,
Wow.
Andy Pettit, Scott Brocious, my wife, my kids, my mother-in-law was there, and water's cold. It's April, April in Lake Armonk, yeah, but it was. I wanted to keep my. It was just an amazing feeling coming out of the water, and George being there, and my wife, and my friends, family, and that they couldn't possibly get any better. So
Yeah.
go to the ballpark. It's Joe DiMaggio Day. So I walk in the clubhouse. I had no idea. I just knew it was Joe DiMaggio Day. I didn't know what was going on. So I walk in, and every Hall of Fame old timer from the Yankees passes in there. You got Whitey Ford, Yogi Berra, Phil Rizzuto, Joe Pepitone. You got it's just the list goes on. I'm talking this. I'm just, one of my old teammates, Dave Winfield. Was he? Yep, he was. It was just I'm like a kid in a candy store walking around talking to these guys, not paying any attention to anything else. So I go to my locker, and Bernie Williams, who I mentioned earlier, is just an incredible musician. He actually has albums out now. Great guitarist. And in spring training, he and I were talking, and I'd started playing the guitar, and he told me to bring my guitar to the clubhouse, and he'd show me a few things. Well, his locker's next to an empty locker, and I'm just on the other side, so we're back in the corner, and we put our guitars in the empty locker. Well, I go to my locker, and somebody's sitting in my chair with their back to me playing my guitar. And me being me, going, all right, I didn't tell anybody I could play the guitar. Who's this? I go up there, it's Paul Simon. So I got to sit down and play the guitar with Paul Simon.
Oh my.
So I've been baptized. I got to meet all the old timers. Now here I am playing the guitar with Paul Simon.
Oh my.
Well, Billy Crystal's also in the clubhouse. He's got a huge Yankees fan. So he's looking for somebody to go play catch with him, and we're not taking BP. And a day off from BP, nobody's going outside. So I'm looking at him, I'll go play catch with you, Billy. We go outside, we play catch, and it's 15 minutes of just a comedy show between him, me, and the fans.
Wow.
I'm laughing, and I'm just, I didn't think about it at the time, the way things happened. But the day just kept getting better and better and better and better. So we're playing the Blue Jays. Ninth inning, we got a 1-run lead. Mariano comes in. Best closer ever step on the baseball field. And game over. Mariano gave up a run. I think he blew the only save he blew all year.
Wow.
And I come in and pitch the 10th, 11th innings to get my first win as a Yankee. So April 25th, I was baptized. Got to meet all the old timers, play guitar, Paul Simon, catch me the Blue Crystal, and got my first win as a Yankee.
I think that was a celebration, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
that was like,
yeah, and we went to Smith and Walensky's after.
Yeah.
In New York, and there's a table right up front, and on the table is a bottle of wine that says "Congratulations, Jason, on your first win." And the manager's name's Gabe, and like I can still call Gabe this day. And my wife and I actually got a table in the kitchen one time because they didn't have room on a weekend. when we were visiting New York, I called and Gabe said, "Yeah, come on in, let's set up a table in the kitchen." So,
oh my goodness. That was like the Lord's favor
Yeah.
all day for you.
that's correct. That's exactly what that was. Didn't recognize it at the time, but
That's a lifetime in one day, really.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that same year you end up getting to pitch in the World Series for the Yankees. That's every kid's dream. Like I've played, I don't know how many games I've played pretending I'm in the World Series. So what's that moment like of walking into the World Series and getting on that mound?
Well, I don't think well, there's a funny story to getting there. So we go in the playoffs, first round, we're playing Texas, and it's a five game series. And Joe Torre comes to me and says, Jason, you're on the roster, but you're not active. You're one of the alternates. He said, we need an extra bench player. And I said, that's no problem. I said, I'm just happy to be here. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So we sweep Texas in 3 games.
We forgive you.
Well, they get hit, but they didn't get anybody out. That's all.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Mhm.
Every year. But anyway.
We know this well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so then we win that series, and we go to play Boston for the ALCS. And Joe, before the series, Joe comes and says, "Hey, look, we're going to leave the roster like it is." I said, that's no problem, Joe. I completely understand. So let me see. It was we won the first 2 games at home, and then we go to Boston, and Hideki Irabu pitched, and he had been struggling a little bit, and he didn't get out of second inning. He gave up 8 runs, something like that, and we ended up winning in 5 games. So we go back. We're getting ready to play Atlanta in the World Series, and I'm still not active. And the pitchers around the turtle on the field bunting because none of them I can bunt. They couldn't bunt. That's the best bunter on the planet still. But so Joe comes up to me and says, "Hey, Rams, just want to let you know we're leaving the roster like it is." And excuse my language, but I looked at him and said, "Joe, that's bullshit." He goes, "What?" I said, "You heard me." He said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, Joe, you and I both know you're not going to start him. You're not going to bring him in the ball game. If something happens, you do bring him in the ball game. You know that the game's over. These guys are going to know the game's over. That's it. You put me in a ball game, they might think we have a chance. So that's why I think it's BS, Joe. And let me try to change my mind. You'd rather put somebody making 300,000 off than somebody making 5 million." And I turned around and walked off. I said, "Hey," I said, "What?" I said, "We ain't made my mind up." I said, "Whatever, Joe." So I go home. And I told my wife, I said, "Honey, we might not be going to Atlanta." She said, "What'd you do this time?" I'm a theme there.
Did she say, "What were you thinking?"
That's she should have. But
Yeah.
so I go to the locker room the next day. I'm sitting in my locker, and Joe says, "You ever need to see him in my office?" So I go in the office. He shuts the door, and I sit down. He says, "You're on the roster. You're active." I said, "All right." He said, "I'll have you no money. Never have to do anything to do with it." I said, "All right, Joe." So I go out and told everybody. Told my wife. I said, "Hey, I got my nails on. Y'all need to make sure you're there." So we go to Atlanta, and Orlando Hernandez pitched first game. They'll do game, and through 7 innings, we end up winning. I think it's 5-1. I think Nelson or Stanton, and then Rivera. So next game's David Cone. We win 5-2, and I think it was Mendoza, Nelson, Stanton, Rivera coming out of the bullpen. So we still have Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit left. We're up 2-0. Andy Pettit starting the 3rd game. I don't think he's lost a game in the playoffs or World Series ever at this time. And so I'm just kicking back, not really expecting a whole lot. Well, Andy gets in trouble. Gives up a couple runs in the 1st inning. A couple runs in the 2nd inning. Gives another run in the 3rd inning. Well, in the 2nd inning, he said, "Get Grims up." So I'm warming up, and only got this feeling one at a time, and that was my debut when I was a 21-year-old kid in 1989, where your feet never hit the turf. Well, when they opened that gate up and said, "Grims, you're in," and you run out there and you realize that it's old Yankee Stadium. There's 50,000 plus people there. And, you know,
Wow.
millions of people are watching. But that's not really what goes, you know, that in the back of your head, but that's not what goes through your mind. What goes through your mind is what you mentioned earlier. When you're a kid, you're always thinking, all right, puts in the World Series or the Yankees. Or see,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said the Astros back then because that wasn't possible back in those days. But well, they got close a couple times. But so I go out to the mound, and I made myself every time that I got called into a ball game, I made myself look around and enjoy that moment and just realize how much I absolutely loved going out there and doing what I got to do.
Yeah.
So I get to the mound. There's Joe Girardi's there. He's a catcher. Scott Brocious, Derek Jeter, Chuck Knobloch, Tino Martinez, and Joe Torre.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sitting up there talking. So I get up on the mound and I'm thinking, all right, Joe's going to impart some words of wisdom on me. And they're talking. And when I get up there, talking stops. And Joe hands me the ball. He goes, here you go. Turns around and leaves.
You're like, where's my movie motivational speech, Joe?
No, he was just saying, all right, son,
It's your turn.
Your butt wrote a check. Let's see if you can cash it.
Right. That's exactly right.
And 3 scoreless later, we tied the game up, ended up winning. Chad Curtis hit the walk-off home run in the 10th inning.
Wow.
And after the game, Joe Torre comes in the clubhouse and is just screaming, way to go, Jason Grimsley, way to go. But that gets me to my best moment in baseball. It wasn't pitching in that game. It wasn't my debut. It wasn't anything else. After every win at home, all the young children, the boys, could come in the locker room. I don't care if it's regular season, playoffs, World Series. They got to come in. So my oldest boy's 5, Hunter, and he comes running in. There's about 30 people standing around my locker, and all I can see is Hunter waving at me as he's going by, and I know he's going straight back to the video room so he can play video games. He wanted to be the first one there. My other boy, John, he's 3.5, and I know he's right behind him, but I can't see him. And all of a sudden, I see the reporters moving out of the way, and he's making his way through, and he's holding his arms up. So I pick him up, and I'm holding him. And Susan Walden from the Yes Network is interviewing me, and she's talking to me, and John keeps grabbing my face and want me to look at him. I go, hang on, buddy, just a second. Let me talk to Miss Susan. And I'm talking. He grabs my face again. I go, hang on, guys. And he turns my head and he pats me on both cheeks and he says, "Way to go, Daddy. Way to go." And I just started bawling. That's because I got a second. Susan started crying. John started crying. I said, "Joe, you didn't do anything wrong, buddy. This is a happy day."
Right. Teaching him what a happy cry is.
That was my best moment in baseball.
Wow. That's incredible.
Pitching the World Series was great. That winning the World Series was great.
Yeah.
But that one moment,
yeah,
was nothing compared to that.
And somebody caught that on film?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I figure. What's so crazy is you guys, I don't know if it's a dude thing or what.
We've talked about this before.
How
I knew you were going to mention
the
that.
uncanny ability to recall the batting order of a game that happened. I don't understand.
I think guys have an extra gene.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
But you tend to forget who caught that ball in that game one time, warm-ups when I caught that Pudge Rodriguez ball that Cal Ripken Jr. signed.
Yeah.
You always want to think you caught it, but let's just I don't know why you can't recall that correctly, but
well, you forget that I was right behind you and I had it if you didn't.
Yeah, you were backing me up. Yeah. But I didn't need you.
But it is amazing. Like I can remember softball games 10 years ago and you remember plays, you remember who was playing. It's just something that guys can do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We used to have
especially a pro athlete. I mean,
Jason, we used to have a rule when we were younger playing softball that after a game, you can talk all you want about all the missed calls and all the bad this and all the great things and whatever you want to talk about till we walk in the door. And once we walk in the door, because if not, he would talk about it till the next week's game.
Yeah.
And so just had to be like, once the door closes, we are done with that game. We cannot talk about the missed anything. We're done.
Yeah.
I was extremely good at as soon as I took the uniform off, I was a totally different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leaving your job.
Oh yeah. No, we never discussed
Yeah.
baseball. It was all kids, family, wife. What do we, just basic living. No, I was never upset when I went home.
Really?
No,
Does she love baseball?
not really. No.
Yeah. That might have made it easier.
She didn't know anything about baseball when we got married. I'm talking nothing. She still really doesn't get it. So
That's funny. Yeah, that might have made that might make that easier, probably. I like sports a lot too, so I don't know.
It keeps the conversation going that way. So,
Yeah, for sure. A little friendly competition always. Okay, so if you will, tell us about your very bad day. And this was August 21st, 2015.
Yep. That probably started in 2005. That whole process,
Mhm.
probably before that. But yeah, my wife's younger brother committed suicide, and he called me about half an hour before he did it, and I didn't have my phone with me. I didn't answer the phone. He left me a message, and it tore me up for a long time. And getting into my career, and the way baseball ended for me, me just walking away from it with the Mitchell report, and the house getting raided, the FBI hammering on me. And I got tired of them trying to tell me what to do, and I basically said, "All right, you got two choices. You either have my job or take me to jail. I'm going to take one of them off the table. I quit.
Mhm.
So if you want to arrest me, come arrest me. But I'm not going to wear a wire. I'm not going to do what you asked me to do." And you put up as a guy, you put up this false front, like it doesn't really bother you. I was old anyway, but that's what I've done since I was 7 years old.
Mm.
All of a sudden, I got a big hole in the middle of me, and that coupled with my wife's younger brother's death, accompanied with the me trying to take everything I could to numb any feeling I had, and repressing old memories of abuse when I was real young. It just led me down a road. And as close as I was to God in 1999, I could have not fallen further away when it came to the end of my career in 2006.
Mhm.
Winning World Series is great, but with all the cameras on you and all the interviews and everybody telling you how great you are, you sort of kind of start buying into that load of BS. And and I firmly believe that I'd done everything myself. I didn't ask for anybody's help,
Mhm.
and I felt like everything I'd done. I'd done it. Then all of a sudden, that's gone, and you got a hole in it right in the middle of you that you can't fill with anything.
Mm.
There's nothing you can do to ease the pain that you're feeling, not only for the loss of the game, but the loss of your teammates, the loss of competing, and the loss of your identity. And went to a rehab facility in 2007 for 30 days. Came out mad at the world because I thought everybody else had fun and I couldn't. And a few years later, talked my wife into having a glass of wine somewhere, and here we go again. And then for the next 7 years, nobody knew it, but I had an addiction to anything that would make me feel different than I was feeling.
Mhm.
I don't care if it was alcohol, cocaine, pain pills. I didn't care what it was. I just didn't want to exist not being being sober.
Yeah.
And then it came to a point in August 21st, 2015, where I said, "All right, I'm not doing this anymore." So I purposely got in an argument with my wife, left the house, went to my cousin's ranch, and I had a ounce of cocaine and half a dozen bottles of vodka. And 3 days later, it's gone, and it hadn't done its job. So I said, all right, I'm going to do this right way. Picked up my gun, walked out in the woods, sat down, cocked it, looked at it, pulled the trigger, and gun didn't go off.
Wow.
And I'm not going to say I was relieved. I was pissed is what it was. I said, all right, people. And I didn't have the guts to do it again, I guess.
Mm.
And I said, all right, God, you want to let me live? You want to let me die? What do you want? And instead of being on fire like I was in 99, it was a slow walk, sort of a slow burn, leading me down the path that he wanted to lead me down. And the moment everything really changed is after I got out of rehab. That time it was about 42 days I was in there. Got out, and I decided that my wife and my kids were going to be better off without me there. I was going to get an apartment, and the day before I left to get the apartment, my wife walked in the room and said, none of this works without you. She said, I forgive you. God forgives you. But you got to forgive yourself. And that moment of grace that she showed me opened the door to the grace that the Lord has for me.
Mm.
And, it's still a battle daily. I still get flashbacks and close your eyes and think about some of the things you did and just sort of shake and shudder. But you know what that is. I know what that is now.
Mm-hmm.
I know where that attack comes from.
Right.
And about a year after I got out of rehab, my wife wanted me to write a book. She told me, she got to tell your story. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be in the limelight. I didn't want to be in the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want any notoriety. I just wanted to live my life, enjoy my family, be around my friends, do what I could do around here as far as, helping out and helping people that need help, reaching people. And a couple of years ago, George McGovern, who's still a mentor of mine, a great man. I still get a text from him every day. He invited me to an Athletes in Action training session in Xenia, Ohio. And it's to be able to how to coach kids and how to use Christ in coaching kids and how to be an example and how to share the word while you're coaching. There's about 50 people in this group, and they busted it up into, and I think groups of 10, like 5 groups of 10, something like that. And we're in our group, and one of the first things we did, everybody sitting around was told their stories, who they were, where they came from, whatever. Well, I don't know why I did it, but when it came my turn, I just started from my earliest memory and told them everything, good, bad, and ugly that happened to me in my life. And when I got done, there were 9 guys just looking at me with their jaws open. And there's a man in the group, and his father-in-law has a church in Jersey. And he said, Jason, you gotta come tell your story at our church. And I go, I've never told my story to anybody other than you guys. You guys are the first one to hear it. He said, I don't care. You just gotta come tell the story. You don't gotta do anything different. Just tell what you just told us right now. I said, all right, I'll do that. So they flew me up there, and I go to speak at the church, and I get through telling my story, and same reaction. It was, people out there, and everybody knew, especially from right there in Jersey, that I was with the New York Yankees, and that's the way they promoted it. Jason Grimsley, New York Yankees speaking. Yeah. They're thinking they're going to hear baseball stories, and I just unload on them. And everybody's jaws are on in their laps. And there was a man and a woman there, George and Elizabeth Nader, and she's a Christian author. She has a Christian podcast. Great lady. and they came up and introduced themselves and asked me to come have dinner. So I went over there and we started talking. And little did I know, but her and my wife had gotten together and said, we're going to ambush Jason and we're going to make it. So we're at dinner one night, and here we go. I said, okay, this is what this is what we do. This is what you're going to do. So we're up there, and there's Elizabeth, another lady, Lori Sock, a great lady, who initially started helping me write the book, but it just didn't work out, and went with Jason Clark. And the three of us are sitting in her living room, and we're going over the process and how she self-published her book and the steps that we need to take. And she says, okay, we need a title for the book. And I said, oh well, Dan and I have a couple. We've been kicking some things around, but we don't have anything. And he said, okay, well just pray about it. And so she said, I want to pray. So she started praying. I've never had a vision. I've never heard the Lord's voice. I closed my eyes. She started praying, and then a dark blue background with script writing, cross stitch, just that popped in my head. And so we get done praying, and I said, okay, I got it. They go, you got what? I said, I got the name of the book. They go, what? Cross stitched.
Yep.
they both looked at me and went, oh. and then they said, okay, now we need somebody to do the cover. I said, I got it.
That's awesome.
Good friend of mine, Mark Tremonti. He's a guitarist. He's with Creed, and I was with Alter Bridge. He just did Tremonti does Sinatra, which I know it doesn't sound very appealing, but when you hear this guy, he's a guitarist. Hadn't sing that, but this dude can absolutely wail. Not only the guitar, but he can sing. But his brother did all the album covers art for Creed, for Alter Bridge, and I love everything in it, from My Own Prison to Human Clay to My Sacrifice. The album cover. I just love the way something's growing, something's coming out, dark to light. And I called him. So I called him and talked to him, and he said that. And I said, look, I want you to do the cover. He said, I got to tell you something. I said, what's that? He said, I have this picture of an old baseball that I've always wanted to use on the cover. And I said, great. Just send me some ideas. He said, well, what do you? I said, I don't have any idea. I just know I want you to do it. And so that's where the baseball came from.
Wow.
That's awesome. Well, Jason, I'm so glad you told your story. It's so cool when we tell stories like that. It's not just about us getting through things, it's seeing God working. And I think that's what's cool with stories like yours, is just to see God working in your life, and you get the chance to share that with people. And that's just awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. The only reason I wrote the book, the only reason was to help just one person. If there's one person that benefits from it, it's a success.
Yeah.
I don't care what it costs. I don't care. None of that stuff. Just that one person whose life can be transformed through our Lord and Savior Jesus. Because I can't do anything.
Yeah.
All I can do is tell my story, and if it resonates, and if the Lord works in them, that's the only reason I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yep. Most definitely.
That and the benefit of Mercy Grace Ministries. We're building a home for young girls that have been sex trafficked in an LTAC facility. All the proceeds are going directly to that.
Oh, wow.
And there's 16,000 animal shelters, a little more in the U.S. There's 800 beds for these girls.
Wow.
To me, got the priority screwed up a little bit.
Just a little, yeah.
But it is a fallen world, and I'm going to do whatever the Lord asks me to do to try to make it a little bit brighter place. Yeah.
You are a testimony of someone who truly knows what it's like to be in the dark, and then now living in the light.
Oh yeah, the funny thing is, my kids didn't like it growing up that much because they thought they'd get away with. I said, boys, Trust me, there's nothing you can do that I haven't done. I know what it looks like. I know how you're going to act. So don't even try it.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
That's amazing.
Well, Jason, we sure appreciate it, man.
Jason,
it's been great.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
Appreciate
have
it.
an incredible story, and we're excited to share that with people and talk about your book. And also, we'll definitely tag the things that you're passionate about there too. So that's such
Awesome.
a wonderful
Appreciate
cause,
it.
and we appreciate your time and your story. And you know what? We just thank you for your family. And actually, I'm just going to pray over you right now, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
God, I just thank you so much for Jason and his story. God, I thank you so much that he has stepped into the light and to be able to share this light that he has, God, that's just his faith and his foundation is now in you and Jesus Christ. And God, I just thank you that you have given him this platform to share that with. God, I pray over his family. I pray blessings over his wife and their marriage and their children, God, that you would just continue to sustain them and continue to let them walk along beside you, God, and just stay in that beautiful light that you've given them. It's in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate it.
What
God bless you guys.
Yes. God
You
bless.
too,
God
man.
bless you too.
Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah. Let's do
it.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Love you, man.
Thank
Guys,
you.
have a great year. Thank you.
Well, Rebecca, we laughed, we cried, we prayed. We just had church service, I think.
We took the people to church.
That's right. Just a great conversation with Jason. It's awesome to see just his open heart and his honesty
Yeah.
and just wanting people to know God better and to be healed like he's been healed.
Yeah. It's quite an amazing story. And we hope that you guys really enjoyed this. Also, in the show notes, we're going to have all the tags for like what he's mentioning at the end, some of the places that you can donate, where you can find help. The Suicide Hotline will be on there. Because, you know, people need this kind of stuff in their life. So we hope that you will pay special attention to that.
And as we sign off, as soon as we sign off, we'll have all that information of the Suicide Hotline. And if you need some help, we just hope that you'll reach out to people, reach out to your friends, call these numbers if you need to.
Call us.
Yeah, give us a call. So just an important, very important episode today and a very important story that we heard today.
That's right. We hope you enjoyed this episode and this interview with Jason Grimsley like we did. Hardie Party 5.5 over and out.
We'll see you next time.
To contact the Suicide and Crisis Prevention Hotline, dial 988. Veterans can press 1. Call and text. National Alliance on Mental Illness, dial 1-800-950-6264. That's Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Call or text 62640. ICARE Crisis Hotline, 817-335-3022.